Well, I've actually already started the recording, so hello.
Hello. It's very cute.
Yes, I have my baby with me today, so I've got a few things here to
Oh,
hopefully distract him. At the moment, he
yeah,
has a
that's fine.
wipe.
Yeah, oh, that's all you need sometimes, hey.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. So I'm so excited to have you on. Obviously, this podcast will go up in the new year with the Australian
Yeah,
fitness stories.
thank you.
But let's start by I'll get you to introduce yourself and just tell them a bit about who you are.
Okay, well, I'm Megan. I own a business called For Me Conditioning. I guess you could say 80% online now, since I guess everyone else with the world with Corona. Um, I focus more so on core and mobility. Am a Pilates instructor, but I like to call myself just a core coach pretty much now. Try
Okay,
not to like
cool.
too much.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. No, yeah, I do see you have so much online stuff going on and you've done it so well as well. Like it's not easy to really
No,
transition into the industry online in a professional way. Like it's quite
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, I actually didn't think online would be this hard.
Mm,
I guess just not really knowing how really what this realm is like. And it's a
mm.
lot harder than anticipated. I think because you got to work that bit harder to have more of a presence.
Yeah.
But I think being a mum, it is a little bit better because you can be more home more, but then it does take a lot of time. But anyways, it is what it is. Hey.
Yeah, definitely. And so obviously, like you said, you're a mum. So do you want to tell them just how many kids you have and how old they are? I feel like that's important.
Yes, it is. I have three kids. They're 5, 3, and almost 2. So very busy. But I love it. I live a crazy busy life, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. Cool. So, we're going to talk about your story today and really what got you to where you are, and even sort of talking about, I know you have like a lot of focus on like injury prevention and things like that. So, maybe we can go in that area. But we'll start, which obviously we've talked about who you are, and I'd like to just get an idea of where you started and what it was, like your tipping point and what got you into health and fitness yourself.
Sure. I guess for me, I grew up in a very sporty family, like
Mhm.
extremely sporty. Played many sports over the years. It really started at a very young age for me. My mum got me into figure skating because I was a very clumsy toddler. So
Yeah.
she thought, put you in the deep end, and that's really where it started for me. And then my mum was also a swim coach, so we were very competitive swimmers, and my brother and I we lived in New South Wales at the time in Sydney, and we were pretty good swimmers, so always competing at quite a high level, which then really it requires so much dedication. And I guess that's where the love of sport came in that side. And then we moved from New South Wales up to Townsville, and I got then very heavily into netball. And netball really introduced me to all sides of fitness because it's not just a game that you play, it's you've got to have strength, you've got to have agility. So we got a lot into, or I got a lot into like then my strength training into my fitness. And I think that was
Yeah.
really for me because you just get introduced to so many different areas of fitness, and I just loved it all. I thrived off it. It made me so happy. And yeah, I reckon that was really my tipping point then was when I got very heavily into netball.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so that's when you started working with strength training, obviously. And so was it
Yeah.
very long then that you started going into like coaching? Like, did you go through sort of your own bit of a journey
Well,
with weight training first?
I think I was more focused on myself in netball, thinking I was going to play for Australia because it was like my love. I just wanted to do so well with it.
Yeah.
So I was just more focused on myself and not really thinking too far ahead in career wise because it was like my late teens coming out of school. So
Yeah.
I thought sport was going to be my life, and I thought
Hmm.
that's where I was going to make a career out of. And I think it's just being a bit naive almost and not really knowing what I was doing. So when I stopped netball, I still kept up the strength training quite a fair bit,
Hmm.
but I didn't really know what I wanted or what I wanted to do. So it wasn't until I moved overseas and I went to the most amazing classes over there. And that's when I was like, this is what I want to do. So I was
Yeah.
probably about 20 then is when I actually got my Pilates certification first and
Yeah.
dived into that first. And then I realized what Pilates was missing, which was like the strength element and stuff. So I think then I sort of wanted to build I wanted to build a bridge between the two worlds because I thought they were so separated when they really didn't need to be. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's how I really dived into it then. I think I just my eyes got opened up to so much more than what we were getting at that point in Townsville.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it all started for me, really.
Cool. I like that. And you know what? That's so true. Like Pilates and strength, like a lot of people will do one or the other. People won't
Yes.
generally do both. And that is something that now that you point that out, I'm like, yes, like that's what you do. You like have that combination. I'm guessing like when you program for your clients and everything, you give them that combination.
Yes. And I think a lot of people that come to Pilates, they don't want to do the other side of fitness. And
Yeah.
For a long time, I was sort of tricking my clients saying, oh, we're going to be doing this. And it was just like a weighted squat. But if you ever told them that, they would be like, oh no, like I'm just here for Pilates. So I really want to to sort of break down the barriers of either or, really. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people will judge one before they even try it. So, and yeah, I think that's what that's my goal now with anything to do with movement and stuff like that. I just want it to be, I don't want there to be a label. I just want it to be like functional movement.
yeah. Okay, cool. I like that. And so do you feel like sort of within that journey, since you've been learning and bringing those two together, have you had any sort of downs, or what's sort of been the hardest part of your journey so far?
I think the hardest part for me has been just growing the business itself. It's not really it was one side or the other. I think it was just growing it and knowing where to take it. And I think that having the kids, as much, I don't want to blame them, but having the kids has been the hardest point because you're pregnant for 9 months. So you're, especially being a Pilates instructor, you can't do core work. And being so pregnant, trying to tell people what to do, but not being able to do it was probably the hardest point for me. And then being able to keep up the momentum of growing a business while growing a child, children, and that probably has been the hardest point, but that's really like not so much to do with the scope of the business and stuff like that. It's just more so life than anything.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. Kids definitely make it a lot harder. Like you've got to figure out how to do everything with kids that usually you would just be able to sort of do, you know what I mean? Just seeing if he'll want to drink a bottle from me. No.
You just take your time, hey. I wish I could help.
You're like, I would take him.
Yeah, literally.
I'm just popping him in his toy. See if he'll chill. Not having a good time.
Don't stress, hey, don't stress.
No, that's okay. That's all good. Well, I was going to, we were talking about what we're doing because we're obviously bringing out this podcast in the new year, and we were saying, I said, like, it's going to be hard if we do record video because we may put some of the videos like on YouTube so that people can listen and sort of watch at the same time. And I said, but obviously I'm going to have Bub for most of the recordings. And Amanda was like, well, like, at least it's relatable. There's other mums. And I'm like, you know what? That's true.
I think it's really healthy for people to see the juggle of it all. Like, yes, it's not easy. It can be very messy at times. It's also can be doable too. You know, it's just like the new realm of what it's like now.
Definitely.
It's not what I thought it would be. I thought it'd be easier, and it's not. But you just got to learn to know what the new hard is, and you just got to sort of adjust as each stage comes, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, because they're continually changing. So as soon as you figure it out, then you've sort of got to refigure it out again. And I think like a lot of people see like, yourself, you're like achieving all these things and you've got these kids and they're like, oh my God, there's these super moms. And like, how do they do it? Like their kids must be so good and they mustn't struggle. But then when you actually see it, it's like, yes, they do struggle.
Yeah, 100%. This year, not even bringing Corona into the occasion, we've actually had our hardest year of parenting ever because my eldest started prep and I thought prep was going to be easy, and it
Yeah.
was it's not. It is so much harder than anticipated. So we've had a huge change, and then I think this is what brought me wanting to do my business online even before Corona, because you just can't be out of the house as much as what your like a timetable needs you to, or you can
Yeah.
anymore. So
Hmm.
I think that, yeah, like even at 5, we're still forever changing our stages. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is it now. It's just, you just got to roll with it as it comes.
Yeah, definitely. And so obviously like having your kids and managing your own fitness journey and then as well as your business has been a big thing for you. So what do you think is like being the biggest thing? Like if someone has a business and they're gonna have kids and stuff like that, what do you think would like be your biggest tip for them?
I think to grow with your business, don't,
Hmm.
I think where you are at that current point in time, just focus then where you are, because I think for me, I got too big too quick.
Hmm.
And then when I had kids, I had to scale back so much.
Hmm.
And all my clients, that was a bit of a shock, I think. And I felt like
Yeah.
I had to keep that momentum like I had before I had kids. And you know what? It took me 3 babies to get it. And as hard as that is, like, and as shocking, like, that makes me so frustrated with myself just saying that. But I think that having him force me to finally slow down and just focus on what I have rather than what I had. So
Yeah.
I think that just realizing where you're at, and don't be so frustrated with yourself or the business on how it was to how it is now. I think just rolling with the punches and just going with it and just being proud of yourself no matter what, of where
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
I think I
Okay,
was
cool.
always down on myself because like my class numbers were so big before I had kids. And then, I just couldn't keep that up anymore with all like Instagram was growing as well and stuff. And I
Mm.
was so frustrated with myself. But then also I didn't really sit back and think, girl, you just had your first ever baby. Like that is probably your hardest baby you'll ever have. Like you
Yeah.
need to don't be so hard on yourself, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with that. Obviously, that's something I'm going through at the moment. So I would completely agree with you saying. And as it's like changing, you've sort of got to change. You've just got to like you can only do what you can do.
Yes, yes. And I think as a mum, you always have that super mum feeling within you, feeling like you have to do everything. And it's not just at work, it's at home. Like I can't sit still. And sometimes it's a great attribute to have, but it's also can be your like detriment as well. So I
Yeah.
think that also goes within the business side as
Mm.
well. But there's so many beautiful benefits to having your own business as
Yeah.
well as having, like, I can pick up my daughter. She doesn't have to do after school care or anything like that. So like, and I try and say that to her. I said, there's so many mummies in the world. They've got to work to 5. They have to work to 6. So
Hmm.
I think the lifestyle in somewhat is really, really great. You do work probably a lot earlier and a lot later because once they
Mm.
go to bed, you've got to tick away. But in regards to that, I still wouldn't change it for a 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And so in terms of you personally, do you have like any fitness goals at the moment?
Yeah, I'm back really heavily into my strength training. I took a bit of
Hmm.
a break. I really made sure my recovery after all 3 children. Like I haven't done strength training in years.
Yeah.
So I personally back into that and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm probably making the gym as much as like I would love to, but
Mhm.
that's just life. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really loving strength training at the moment. So focusing just on the 3 big lifts, so squats, deadlifts, and bench press, which is shocking how much I love it. So yeah.
That's funny. That's kind of what I've started looking towards doing because when you can't make it a lot, if you can
Yeah,
focus on those 3 big lifts, it makes the sessions worthwhile, I think.
100%. And it makes me feel empowered. And personally, I don't care about my body composition anymore. I feel like
Yeah.
if I'm strong and I'm adding weight to the plate, that makes me feel so good within myself. And
Hmm.
it brings so much elation to my life. Like, so I've really been loving that a lot. And I try and really focus that in on like my Instagram, trying, 3 sessions a week. That's what I
Hmm.
got, but I'm going to make it so it makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like three sessions a week can be worthwhile. Like you can make progress with 3 sessions. You don't have to train every day. I mean, you shouldn't train every day.
No, yes, yes, 100%. But I think now I'm just at the point where I just do the things I like to do. Like if anything makes me feel a bit sick in the tummy, I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And so your mindset, like obviously you were saying like you don't really care about your body composition anymore. You just sort of train for performance and for how it makes you feel. And so have you always been like that, or do you feel like that's been something that's happened over time?
Definitely over time. I suffered from anorexia as a teen. I think that just from my it would be after I finished netball, if I'm honest, because I think once I didn't have a goal, I was just so focused on like how I looked or what I thought I should look like. I also have a lot of anxiety. So when I'm anxious, I don't eat. I wish sometimes I emotionally ate, but anyway, so that's something that definitely ran my life for a long, long time. And to the fact that we couldn't fall pregnant because I was so lean. Oh, your little chubby legs. Oh, bless.
Yes.
So we had to do IVF. I'm going to go off track, but it all makes sense in a second. We had to do IVF to have our first daughter, and it took us nearly 3 years to fall pregnant with her. And it was purely because I was too lean. So I think that for me, my turning point to understanding that that's not the life that I wanted to lead. But again, it took 3 kids for it to finally click, I think, for me.
Yeah.
And I think just age now, like I just turned 32 and I don't care anymore. It just doesn't
Yeah.
bother me.
Yeah. No, yeah, I like that. And so obviously you went, oh, like I didn't know that. And I think a lot of people probably don't know that you suffered with that towards with like eating and everything like that when you were younger. And so when you did the IVF and then you had kids, like that, so did you sort of change your eating or?
I put on 10 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
So in it was in 6 months I had to put on 10 kilos. My IVF, I changed IVF doctors and he was like, I will not treat you until you put on some weight. So it was probably the first experience of motherhood. It's not a sacrifice, but in somewhat it is, that to realize I'm going to put another person in front of me, even though I didn't even have this person with me earthside. So I was doing anything I could to have a babe. So I don't think it really clicked for me doing it for myself until like last year, if I'm honest. It was always, we had our babies quite close together. So I always knew that if I was to have more children, I couldn't let myself get to that point. So it was still always for them, but it wasn't until last year that I finally was doing it for myself that I just didn't.
Yeah. So in a sense, like maybe having your babies and like obviously you had to do it for them. That was sort of your starting point, that transition to you being okay with having a bit of weight on you, or like your body just being how your body is.
Yes. I think I was just finally accepting that I just didn't care. And I'm already, like, I know a lot of people always say to me, oh, you're actually lean and stuff like that. But I still think everyone sees themselves in a certain way. It doesn't matter how someone else sees you. You always see yourself a certain way. And I think I just had to let go of how I was seeing myself. And it all, lots of work, mental work, but I just started really just not giving a shit anymore. And I think strength training, honestly, came down to that too, because I could barely lift 3 kilos above my head last year because I just didn't have the energy to do it. And I realized, shit, how do you get energy? You got to eat. So the more I was eating and learning how much I needed to eat for myself, I started getting stronger. I started feeling good. I wasn't living off coffee anymore. And then that just made me realize food is good and who cares anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, really? Yeah, no. Excuse me. Yeah, so I really like that. I'm sort of picking up on sort of your evolution, obviously, and it started as you doing it for someone else and you sort of getting used to it. And then I like how I think people forget that strength training can really help in terms of your eating as well. Like you said, you sort of can start looking at food differently. You look at it as like fuel for your body to be able to lift heavier weights and things like that.
Yeah. I think I just for me also, I did a big cull on Instagram one day. I was like, don't want to follow you, don't want to follow you. I just started following
Mhm.
people that would empower me and also educate me on like no more labeling foods. Like food is
Mhm.
food. There's something that will make you feel like shit if you eat a lot of it, so eat a little bit of that, but there's other foods that will make you feel so much energetic. And I think
Yeah.
that was a really good turning point for me as well, just to just see food as food. There was no more good and bad and healthy and
Mhm.
unhealthy. Yeah.
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 Yeah, well, this is exactly why we want to do like these fitness stories, because everyone's different. Like one person started and they were overweight and that's what motivated them. But like you said, like people say to you, oh, you're naturally lean, like you've had it easy, yada, yada, yada. When really you've struggled with body image,
Yeah, that's
you've had that anorexia and you've had issues with the food as well mentally. Like you've had to go through all like almost the same struggles, but just in different terms.
yeah, 100%. I definitely, it always comes down to everyone has their own stories. And I didn't open up about my mental health issues, or I don't want to say issues, my mental health struggles and
Mhm.
all the IVF until only 2 years ago. And because I didn't want to paint this picture perfect story, because it's not like that. And I think that the more that people can talk about it, the better. And I love being open about my life. And I think that it's really important for people to talk more about it. So you don't feel, because I felt so alone when I was going through all of that. And this
Yeah.
was even before Instagram and everything like that. So I just felt so alone that no one else was going through it. And I think that just makes it so much worse. And you just withhold so much emotion as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's so important to talk about these things because, like you said, often people do feel alone, and it's good for them to realize that it's actually normal. Like those things you're going through, so many people have gone through those same things, and like you will come out the other side. Like you've just got to do the work and like let time happen because things don't happen overnight. Like,
God no. And God no. I think about even just my change from I think I fell pregnant end of 2014. Even from that moment to now, it's just like, just life is so different and it has changed so much. But life does change. But what you need to change the most is how you view yourself and how you change in your own mind,
yeah,
because time can tick away, as you said, but you got to make it so you're actually progressing. And I always look at it as like a yearly, like I thought about myself this time last year, even how much I've grown just in this year.
mm,
And you just got to, for me, I always make sure at the end of the next year, I've got to be proud of where I've come within that year, because it's a long
yeah.
time.
It is. And sometimes you feel like maybe you're in the same place, but if you actually think back to it's not just about like physical changes. I know like at the start of the year, everyone's like, my goal is to lose weight, my goal is to gain muscle, like whatever it may be. But like if you actually think about where your mindset was a year ago, like how far have you come? Like what things were you focusing on then that you shouldn't have been that you're not now? Like there's just so many little changes. And overall, like 5 years down the track, if you've just made like two changes a year mentally, like that's 10 changes, significant changes to your life in 5 years. And I know that 5 years seems long, but when the time comes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I look at my daughter, she's 5.5, and I think, "Oh,
Hmm.
you're such a little creature. Like, you're so little." And that just proves how quick time goes, just in a child, that, it
Yeah.
just seems like such a long time. But then you just look at them, how little they are, and you think that time just like flies by. And
Yeah.
she is she's just proof in the pudding on how much you can change in a long 5 years, but also a very short 5 years as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing when you have kids is your life does turn into that. Like every year you're like, "Oh my God, this year's going so quick." And you still feel like that.
Yeah.
In fact, it might feel like it's gone quicker, but you're also like, "This is so like how is this a long quick?" Because
Yeah.
for instance, like I've
Literally.
had Dustin for 7 months almost, and I'm like, oh my God, it's gone so quick. I can't believe you're 7 months old. But then at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I've had you for a lifetime.
I know. I know. They just imprint on you, don't they?
Yeah,
It's kind of like
definitely.
the nights are so
Yeah.
gone that long.
Yeah, and so obviously now you have a lot more focus on injury prevention as well.
Yep. Yep.
So what got you into that area?
I think when I stopped, so this is all going to come back to netball. Netball, well, even
Hmm.
in sport in general, your main focus is on performance. So you want to perform the best that you can. How do you do that? You need to look after your body. You need to make sure you recover, and you got to look after your joints, and you got to do so much work in regards to getting the best that you can out of your performance. And it wasn't like main focus on getting better at your games and stuff was not on how much you can lift in the gym. It was how you actually take care of yourself. So Stop Netball went pretty heavily into all different realms of fitness, like CrossFit, everything. And everyone, I just noticed, sort of is get in, get out, and that's it. And it's all well and good, but until you get injured. And an injury is the most debilitating experience that anyone can go through. And it can really dampen your client's self-esteem. Like they come in with a sore neck, can't do that, can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I have had some really shocking injuries as well. So I think that anything that you feel really passionate about, you have like a personal experience with. So I started then getting really bad back pain, and because I noticed then I wasn't really taking care of myself. And I guess I was thinking of it like, well, I was doing all the sport, you know, I was performing, but now I'm not performing, so I don't need to do all that. And then I realized, yes, you do. Like, just because you're not competing, you're still going to the gym to want to better yourself, and you're growing yourself there, and then you're not doing anything else. And then I just was noticing myself, so many injuries were popping up. And then getting into the Pilates, obviously everyone pretty much comes to Pilates because they've got a sore back. And I just could see such a difference in them from when they're walking in to like a month later. So I just wanted, when I started then bridging more into the functional fitness side, I wanted my clients to have a really big focus on how not to get to that point of injury, because when you suffer injury, it can take a long goddamn time to come back from it. And I've noticed that, and I'm not saying that if you do all the injury prevention stuff, you'll never get injured, but there's pretty really good chance that the injuries are very few and far between. And if something does happen, then it's a really quick turnaround rather than being months out of the gym and stuff like that. So I just really wanted there to be, I think people only see the workout, they don't see what happens before or after. And I guess that the people that do see that, they are high level performance athletes, but all that what they do, everyone should be doing in my eyes. So I just saw like there was like a bit of there's just not much. It's getting better, but there's still not much out there enough of it.
It's really missing in the industry.
It is. It's extremely missing. And I feel like every coach should have a really great eye for detail for every client you're going to get one a week. You're going to get one with this sore knee, can't do this, sore shoulder, can't do that. So you got to figure out how you can also help them. Yes, you're not a physio, but you still want to help them, but also how can you adjust for them too? Because you don't want them walking out feeling like, oh shit, I couldn't do anything. And
yeah, definitely. And I think like as a PT, you don't have to go out of scope to be doing a bit of injury prevention.
100%. It's really just a really good warm up. If I'm honest, it's just if I was to categorize injury prevention work, it's just it's called prehab. So you want to do prehab so you don't have to do your rehab. And it's honestly just making sure they're warming up properly. Obviously, then it dives really deep into technique and stuff like that, but also giving your clients some really good movements to do outside of when they're in the gym, you know, because you can only do so much in your hour and stuff like that. So I think it's also then trying to get them and motivate them to do their work. Because for instance, in netball, within our season, we would play and then not do much else during the week, but recover. And recovery is it just is so important, and it's something that people don't do enough of, and or probably don't even know how to, you know. So it's not really that difficult, but I think that's what I would love to be able to really focus more of my business with, and even just on Instagram and stuff, just really showing people how you can look after yourself so we don't get to that point. Because no one wants to be injured. It's shit. It's I'm sorry. It's not.
No, that's okay. You can swear.
It's it feels like, it makes you feel like crap, and
Yeah.
especially when you're getting into a rhythm and then suddenly you've got to come to a halt, and yeah,
Yeah.
no one wants to get to that point.
Well, and here's the thing. I think clients are coming into the gym and they expect you as a trainer to be looking after their health and be helping them to not get injured.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they'll go and work out on their own and just try and figure it out themselves. You know what I mean?
yeah, yes. And I think the hardest point too sometimes with being a PT and client, especially if you've only got say 30, 45 minutes or an hour, there's not really that much time
Hmm.
to warm up. If I have my girls for 45 minutes, we still warm up for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a quick 5 minute and off you go. And I think that's the hardest point though, is because your clients will then may think, well, I'm not getting enough out of my session. But
Yeah.
that is that is the most, to me, that is the most important part of the session, because the more
Yeah.
you can warm up, then it probably won't take as long next time to get into the session. But I see so much they'll do like a couple of squats, slowly add weight to the bar, and off they go. And I just think, oh, your hips slack and your back, like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. They just don't put in the amount of effort to do what
Yeah,
they need to
yeah.
be doing.
I think because everyone's so time poor as well. So they want to get in, get out. And I get it. I've been there, but that's when like the little cracks start to appear,
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. I think I went off a
No,
bit there, but
no, that's okay. No, I think it's interesting and it's important to talk about. And it's definitely something we're looking to integrate as well, like just some workshops and stuff, so that, like you said, people have stuff that they can do at home. Like there's additional things they can do for their recovery. And I think,
yes.
like you said, we do have minimal times in sessions. Like when you've got group
Yes.
fitness and stuff like that, you've only got so long to do a warm up. So you're trying to make something that's effective, but not too long, basically.
Yes.
So then
I
if
think
you
that's
can,
the hardest point of group
yeah,
fitness, is the
yeah,
time issue.
definitely.
That's not anything on the trainers or anything,
No, you just only have so long.
that's just the world, that
Yeah,
it is. It's hard. It is very hard.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks so much. One other question I really want to ask, and it's like our main question we ask each of our people who come on the show, and that is, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's sort of working through their health and fitness journey at the moment, then what would that one piece of advice be?
I think it would be find what you love to enjoy. Don't don't do something because your best friend does it, or that the person you follow on Instagram does. I think you really
Hmm.
need to find what you enjoy the most. And even sometimes if you try this, that, and the other thing, whatever makes you feel good going, stick with it. I think it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter what it is, as long as we're moving and we're happy. I think that is my biggest piece of advice. And that's something that I can come to appreciate now, for sure.
yeah, I really like that. I think it's important. You're not going to stick to something if you're not enjoying it.
100%, 100%. And lifting weights isn't for everyone. Pilates isn't for everyone. Yoga isn't for everyone. Like, I used to love
Yeah,
just going for a walk. And
yeah,
I would say to people, if you want to walk, bloody walk, who cares?
yeah,
Just as long as you're happy and you're moving in some form of
yeah.
way, then that to me is just goals.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. Could
Have a
you let everybody know where they can find you, like on social media?
Yes. So on Instagram at For Me Conditioning, and same thing with on Facebook. I'm pretty sure, and that's pretty much it on socials.
Okay, cool. I'll pop that in the description in case anybody didn't catch that. They can find it there or find the spelling or anything. And yeah, I'll
Thank
chat
you.
to you later.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's okay. Thanks. Thanks for putting up with my mum
Oh
duties.
my God, no way. He's a dream. What a good boy. What a good giver.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.